Hello, I'm Maker410, and welcome to my channel, where I focus on 3-inch revolvers and firearms chambered in the 410 bore shot shell. Let's check out today's video. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. In today's video, we're going to be covering FPS testing of 22 WMR, or 22 Magnum, as is also known, out of a variety of barrel lengths. This caliber is interesting to me because on paper, it is absolutely fantastic. It hits a very sweet, nice middle ground of low recoil and high performance. You'll see this in a variety of other tests online that show this to just be a stellar caliber. So much so that people have, or manufacturers have, put it in a variety of different handguns that perhaps it isn't best suited for. Like the 22 long rifle, it was designed to be shot out of long barrels. So in today's video, sorry about that. In today's video, we're going to be comparing the performance that we get out of 4 different ammunitions readily available from major manufacturers out of a variety of barrel lengths, everything from 2 1/8 inches all the way up to 20 inches, 20 1/8. And this is hopefully as interesting to you as it is to me, because I almost chose 22 WMR when I was first getting into firearms as my everyday carry caliber of choice, especially after double action options came about through Diamondback at a very reasonable price with their Diamondback Sidekick. I explored a lot of it with Heritage and their Rough Rider revolvers. I learned a lot about revolvers through this, and then all in all, it was a very educational caliber for me that if 32 H&R Magnum had not seen the resurgence that it has, I would have probably gone much further with. So anyway, I just wanted to get some actual numbers out there so that people can see what kind of performance you get out of various barrel lengths for this caliber that is incredibly popular. Unfortunately, I don't have any modern semi-autos that have started popping up recently after Caltech made theirs to shoot out of, but I do have, I think you'll see I have some interesting options. So I'm gonna grab the camera and I'm gonna show you guys what firearms we're gonna be shooting 22 WMR out of today, and which 22 WMR loadings we're going to shoot today. Just a moment. Okay, everyone. So we're going to start with our ammunition, then we'll move on to the actual firearms. First, we have a Winchester Varmint HV high velocity 30 grain 22 WMR, which is claiming to get 2,250 feet per second out of it. That would be fantastic. If we get that, we're probably only going to get that out of our 2 long arm revolvers, or long arm firearms, long barrel. Then we've got our Remington Magnum Rimfire, which is a 40 grain jacketed hollow point, claiming 1,910 feet per second. That looks pretty solid to me, like a solid tip. I don't know why they call it a jacketed hollow point. Maybe underneath that tip it's hollow. I don't know. Then we've got our gold dot, our Speer gold dots, which up until very recently were considered the pinnacle of self-defense ammunition for 22 WMR, and is still considered very good. Lucky Gunner testing has really shown them to do quite well, and that was the ammunition that I almost chose as my everyday carry, my EDC, until I had more experience with reliability issues with rimfires. And I know people have less reliability issues with rimfires out of 22 Magnum than 22 LR, but once I discovered 32 H&R Magnum, I decided not to take that risk. And then over here, last, we have our critical defense from Hornady 45 grain FTX slug. So neither one of these have any listed velocities, and I think that's mainly because they're designed to be shot out of small barrels. So we'll see what kind of velocities we get out of small barrels. On to our firearms that we'll be shooting 22 WMR out of. So first, we have our high standard derringer, which has 2 1/8 inch barrel. It looks a little bit longer, but the majority of, or not the majority, but about 1.5 inches of that is taken up with 22 WMR with the actual bullet. So we only end up with 2 1/8 inch travel space. Ooh. Then we have our Heritage Rough Rider Bird's Head, which has a 2.5 inch barrel, an actual 2.5 inch barrel. Then we have, right over here, our Diamondback Sidekick, which has a 3 inch barrel. Then we have our Diamondback Sidekick with the plow handle grip, and that has a 4.5 inch barrel. Then we have our Heritage Rough Rider, which has a 6.5 inch barrel. Then we have our Heritage Carbine, which has a 16 1/8 inch barrel, and a foregrip and a stock that have been added to it to make it more comfortable to shoot, and it has an overall length of greater than 28 inches. So it is solidly in the rifle category. And then above that, we have our Chiappa Double Badger, which is a break action that has 22 WMR top barrel and a 410 shot shell bottom barrel, and its barrel length is 19 1/8 inches. So those are our firearms. Those are our bullets, and we're gonna give them a shot. All right, guys, give me a moment and I'll get all set up to do this testing. Okay, everyone. So we're gonna start off our testing using the Winchester Varmint high velocity, and we're gonna start taking our readings with our high standard 22 WMR derringer. This thing is a trip. I don't know if I've ever hit anything. We're at 10 yards away from our targets. The sights on it are really minimal. The trigger pull is massive. It's like greater than 14 pounds. It's double action all the way through. And we're gonna take 2 shots for the high velocity because we only have 18. We'll do 3 shots of everything else. All right, here we go. 1426.6, or I'm sorry, 1424.6. Holy moly, that's pretty fast out of just a 2 1/8 inch barrel. That's way more than I was expecting. Good job, Winchester. And 1407 for our second shot. So I hit the target on the left. I wasn't really aiming for the target on the left. I was aiming for the center point of the larger target. So our average there was 1,416.2 feet per second. I think we're already off to a fantastic start. That is way more than I expected. I know it's only 30 grains, but 1, that was very gentle, and 2, to get that velocity out of that size barrel is wild, absolutely wild. Okay. All right, our second revolver here is going to be our Heritage Rough Rider with a bird's head grip and a 2.5-inch barrel. Oh man, I haven't used these in forever. All right, so I modified this one to be a 9-shooter. And I had it Cerakoted and all sorts of fun stuff. So, let's see. Yeah, I think that's it. Take the safety off because these have safeties. And let's see what we get. 1285.4 and 1335.9. Better than I was expecting, but still lower than the high standard, and my guess is because of the cylinder gap. So 1,310.7 feet per second is our average there. Okay, everyone, our second revolver that we're going to try these out of is our 3-inch barreled sidekick with the bird's head grip. 1,383.4 and 1,383.4. So we have an average of 1,383.4. Again, I'm guessing that cylinder gap is why we ended up with the difference. The lower velocities and now the high standard derringer. Super smooth to shoot all of these guys. None of them feel like anything. Even though we have that high of a velocity, having such a light bullet weight of just 30 grains makes this incredibly mild. All right, let's try, oh, sorry. Okay, so now we are loading up our Diamondback Sidekick plow handle grip with a 4.5-inch barrel. And let's see what we get out of this guy. Oh. 1486.6, okay. And we just had a light strike. This is part of why I decided to switch to center fire. Oh, another light strike. Let's try again. All right. This is one of the things I really don't like about center fire or rim fires. Is we have a light strike for sure. That's been struck several times and it just hasn't gone off. So let's have a little bit of fun here and see if we can get it to go off in our derringer. Oh, and that means that our average will be 1,486.6 for the Sidekick with the plow handle grip. All right, we got it to go off that time. So this is part of the challenge with rim fires. The hammers really have to strike with authority. And you may not get that. And I wouldn't be surprised if we had more situations like that throughout our testing today. All right, folks. Let's load up our Heritage Rough Rider. Man, I do not shoot these that much anymore. I'm a little clunky with their manual of arms. 1,478. All right, not bad. And 1,448.5. Also not bad. I like the ejectors and these longer ones. All right. So our average there for the 6.5 inch barrel was 1,463.3. All right, which actually puts it at a lower reading than what we got off of our Sidekick with the 4.5 inch barrel. My guess is that cylinder gap has influence on all of that. Speaking of cylinder gap, now we're starting up our Heritage carbine. If we're going to get close to 2,000 feet out of anything that has a cylinder on it, it's going to be from this guy. And of course, the optics battery is dead. So we'll be aiming this super blindly. $1,563.1. There we go. Had to cycle all the way around because it's a rimfire, and that's what happens. So this is a very fun carbine to have. It was a very neat build to do, but I would not rely on it for anything remotely important. 1,540.5. All right, now let's switch on over to our Chiappa Double Badger. This one is the one I'm most excited for. This is my favorite 22 WMR firearm that I have. And I think if we're going to actually get close to this 2250 listed velocity, it's going to be from this guy. And unlike the rest, it's actually got very nice sights and it's very accurate. All right, 2,276 for its first shot. And time to test its second shot. .45.6 for an average of 2261.1. No, 2261.0. Yeah, that was nice. That was very nice. That was very smooth, very accurate. Honestly, I can highly recommend the Chiappa Double Badger for any 410 or 22 WMR needs. All right. Well, now that we have shot a bunch of that high velocity Winchester, let's switch on over to our Remington. Actually, everyone, because we might be kind of trying to beat the rain here, we're just going to do 2 shots of everything else. This is our Remington Magnum Rimfire out of our high standard derringer, 2 1/8 inch barrel. Man, that guy is shooting to the left. 1,224.8. Again, not bad for a 40 grain bullet. And 1,158 for an average of 1,191.4. All right. Now we've got our Heritage Rough Rider. And these are the proper cylinders. I have checked them. So all of the revolvers that we have here have changeable cylinders, swappable cylinders. So you can switch them to 22 long rifle, 22 long, 22 short out of one cylinder, or 22 WMR out of the other. Safety off. Let's see what we get. 1042.7 and 1082.6 for an average of 1062.7. All right, we've got our Diamondback sidekick with the bird's head grip with a 3-inch barrel. Oh, that's a little bit better. 1220 and 1106.5 for an average of 1163.4. I really cannot stress how much more I prefer the Heritage or the Diamondback sidekicks over the Heritage Rough Riders. They're about twice the cost, but having that double action and that swing out cylinder is, in my opinion, worth it. All right, this is our 4.5-inch barrel Diamondback sidekick. 1150.5 and 1172.5 for an average of 1161.5. Yeah, that was actually a little bit lower than our bird's head. So far we're getting pretty comparable performance out of all of these, no matter the barrel length, until we get to the much longer barrels. 6.5-inch barrel Heritage Rough Rider. Light strike. 1088.3. Oh, and 1140.1. Wasn't a light strike, I just misaligned the cylinder. For an average of 1114.2. Only about 50 feet per second slower than the Diamondback. But to get a slower velocity out of a barrel that's 2 inches longer is a little disappointing. So, if you were going to use one of these, so far the Diamondbacks are providing superior performance to the Heritage revolvers. All right, time to try the carbine. And I know we're only shooting 2, you know, so all of these, it's the data points aren't super solid. Like I said, I would do 3 if it didn't look like we were fighting the weather. Okay. Yep, and that is most certainly a light strike. Oh, Heritage. If you could not give me so many light strikes, I could really enjoy your firearms. Again, you can see a couple of light strikes on there. Let's see if we can get it to pop off with the high standard derringer. And I wouldn't be surprised if we got almost an identical velocity. And the high standard sets it off again. with a velocity of 1,157.7, about 43 feet per second faster than out of that 16-inch barrel from the Heritage Rough Rider. Heritage Rough Riders are fantastic firearms for plinking and fun, but I would not use them in anything serious. And I think you guys can kind of see why. All right. Not to be so hard on the Heritage Rough Riders. I have put in a lot of work on mine, and I really enjoyed that work. I enjoyed converting them to 9-shooters, all 3 of them. I enjoyed getting them Cerakoted. I enjoyed putting on new grips, the whole thing. But performance-wise, they really are just for fun or very last ditch. The same cannot be said about the Chiappa Double Badger. I love this thing to death. Look at that. I just messed that guy up. That was user error. That was not the Chiappa Double Badger's fault. That was my fault for just talking about how much I liked it. All right. Let's see what we get. 1,914. Man, that is real close to the listed velocity on the box. And our second shot. 1,926.5 for an average of 1,920.2. Which, let's check the box here. Yeah, the box says 1,910. So we got better performance out of the Chiappa Double Badger than was listed on the box. And it was accurate as all out. All right, guys, I'm going to switch on over. All right, so we've got the gold dots loaded up in the derringer. If you were going to shoot anything out of a derringer that's 22 WMR, it should be these gold dots. So let's see what kind of performance we get. 976.3. We had a light strike there. And 1,136.5. That was all over the place. That was shocking and disappointing. For an average of 1,056.4. But one of the things that I like about derringers and revolvers, we just kept on pulling that trigger. So even though we had a light strike, we were able to recover. 3-inch barrel, Heritage Rough Rider, Speer Gold Dot, 979.8 and 964.8 for an average of 972.3. Very reasonable, very mild. None of these have been problem or have been hard on the hand. Just about anybody should be able to shoot these. This is a 3-inch barrel. The Heritage is 2.5. Yeah, the Heritage is 2.5. I made a mistake earlier. Okay, so 1,016.1 feet per second and 1,099.2 for an average of 1,057.7. So for a long time, I thought that the Diamondback Sidekick here might be my with the Speer Gold Dots might be my everyday carry of choice. But as we've seen with the light strikes, I just don't trust them. We've had more of those happen in these rimfires than across platforms than we've had in any of our center fires added up across all my videos so far. All right, folks, now we have the Diamondback 4.5-inch barrel plow grip loaded up. 982.1 and 994.9 for an average of 988.5. All right, so one of the things I would like to point out to everyone is that as far as I can tell, this Diamondback sidekick that I have here is from like their very first batch that they made for it. So there has been small little quirks that I might attribute to manufacturing kinks getting worked out. The lower velocity between the 4.5-inch and the 3-inch barrel might be one of those. All right, let's get the Heritage Rough Rider with the 6.5-inch barrel loaded up. Rough Rider Heritage, 6.5-inch barrel, Speer gold dots. What do we got? 1,033 and 1,075 for an average of 1,054.2. About 70 feet per second faster than the Sidekick with the 4.5-inch barrel, but almost identical to the Sidekick with the 3-inch barrel. Oh, and because it's a cheapo Heritage, and I'm not the best with its manual of arms. All right. Pull this guy out. Pop that guy out. That was all me, ladies and gentlemen. I am a little clunky with these. Okay. Looks like we're good to go. Safety off. All right, Heritage Rough Rider Carbine Speer Gold Dot. All right. We had an average of 1,060 or 1,006 between those two. Man, let me tell you, this carbine, a very neat build, very fun to do, but the performance out of it leaves a lot, a lot to be desired. And it's much more accurate when my optic isn't dead. So that's on me. That's my mistake. I thought the optic battery was good in it, and I must have left it on in the case, because that sucker is dead. All right. Now that barrel length may have been so long that the gold dot actually slowed down instead of gaining velocity. Let's see what we get out of the Chiappa Double Badger, because that may show us whether or not it was the barrel length, the 16 inches of barrel for the load designed for pistols. that slowed it down enough, that created the performance that basically capped out at what we got on the pistols. All right, it didn't read it. It's a bummer, but not really, because I love shooting the Chiappa Double Badger. Let's try again. All right, we may be going too fast for it. I had it set to pistol and not to rifle, and the pistol calibration caps out at 1,700 feet per second. We may have been going too fast for it to register. There we go. 1,904.6. And 1,891.0 for an average of 1,897.8. All right, folks, so this is the Hornady Critical Defense 45 grain FTX slug. Again, no velocity is listed on this box, and we're shooting it out of the high standard derringer with a 2 1/8 inch barrel. 1,114.4 and 1,093.1 for an average of 1,103.7. The ejector on that, a lot of fun. All in all, this is a great little pocket derringer. If I had to shoot further than 2 or 3 feet, I probably wouldn't hit anything, but I think as a get-off-me gun, it is fantastic. Man, it feels like the rain is coming. I'm going to have to go a little bit faster, but I still have to be safe. Okay, Heritage Rough Rider Bird's Head Grip 2 1/2 inch barrel. Hornady Critical Defense 45 grain FTX slug. 973.2 FPS. And 1,012.5 FPS for an average of 992.8. Okay, Diamondback Sidekick, Bird's Head Grip 3 inch barrel, Hornady Critical Defense, 22 WMR, 45 grain FTX slug, 1,093.2 and 1,001.2 for an average of 1097.2. Honestly, that's pretty good. All right, Diamondback Sidekick 4 1/2 inch barrel, 1122.1 and 1075.6 for an average of 1098.8. Almost identical to the 3 inch barrel. All right, Heritage Rough Rider 6 1/2 inch barrel, 1055.3 and 1101.9. Not bad. For an average of 1078.6. Let's see if the Heritage Rough Rider carbine is just as disappointing with these as it's been with everything else. Let's see what we get. 1061.2 and 999.2. Well, that wasn't terribly great, but at least it's been consistent. All right, excellent. So our average is 1030.2 with the Heritage Rough Rider carbine. All right, and we have learned our lesson with the Chiappa Double Badger. We've got it set to the rifle setting. Let's see what velocity we get. 1675.5. Wow, that is much slower than I thought it would be. And 1718.3 with an average of 1696.9. Well, everyone, I greatly enjoyed that video. I don't think we had too many surprises. To me, the outstanding winner in performance and accuracy and velocity is the Chiappa Double Badger. That thing is a treat and always dead on. The surprise for me was the Sidekick Bird's Head grip. That guy basically performed equal to all of the other revolvers, no matter the barrel length. It surpassed them or was equal to all of them. The high standard the high standard derringer put up a good performance as well for just having 2 shots, although it did have a light strike. The Heritage carbine, that guy had so many light strikes and had such a low performance for a 16-inch barrel all around that I was greatly disappointed. Although it is very accurate, once you have an optic that's actually functional on it, because you can't see the iron sights with the setup that I have, with the 3D printed foregrip attached to it. Yeah. And then I've got a little bit of powder burn from putting my arm in front of a revolver cylinder. But that's not really that bad for a Magnum situation. If I was wearing a long sleeve or if I'd unrolled my sleeve, that would have stopped that. So that's on me. So yeah, all around, the numbers were better than I thought they'd be. The numbers were pretty consistent. And honestly, the Diamondback Bird's Head and the Chiappa Double Badger, both in production now. And if I was going to get any sort of 22 or recommend any sort of 22 WMR, it would be either one of those. I hope you guys enjoyed this video as much as I did. I got to get going because I feel like it's going to rain at any moment. I hope to see you guys in the next video. Bye.